Hello, everyone, and welcome to the playoff edition of Kickoff Talk. I'm Jeff Kirik, sports editor of the Erie Times News. I'm here, as always, with Tom Reisenweber, star reporter. We're ready to talk some District 10 playoffs. One game of note this is Wednesday. We broke down the Class 6A title game between McDowell and Erie High last week. That game is tonight. We're not going to talk about that one. We're going to break down what happened next week. But instead, we're going to turn to 9 District 10 playoff games that are happening this weekend, starting with Friday's action.
Yeah, you had Cathedral Prep and Fort LaBeouf in the 4A championship game. And, Fort LaBeouf hung with them a little bit last year in the first half. I know Prep was still coming back from some injuries, but LaBeouf has that tough mentality, and they're going to really kind of quicken that game up a little bit with long drives and sustaining, keeping the ball a little bit. So I think it's why
they're going to slow it down.
Well,
by making the game go faster.
Exactly.
Okay,
by the clock not stopping.
I gotcha.
But yeah, I think that's their best shot at beating Prep is to really keep the ball control on the ground with Ben Turry and just kind of run that clock down.
Yeah, and they the one thing they have going for them, Fort LaBeouf, is that they've had 2 consecutive games with 3 100-yard rushers with Jack Rimpa and Tristan Harris, along with Ben Turry, as you mentioned. So that is, that's a formula if you're going to slow Prep down. Erie High sort of did that in their game, although they scored a bunch against Prep. They did definitely keep the ball on the ground quite a bit and then hit them with passes every now and then to at least hang with Prep for a while.
Yeah, and I don't know if there is any science to this, but I think having turf this year helped LaBeouf adjust to a higher level of playing. I mean, they've lost a lot of kids to injury, and they've still been pretty good. So that may be something to keep an eye on, just the way they progress these next few years.
Yeah, and really that was a distinct disadvantage to them in the past to play your whole year on grass, and especially at the end of the year when it was almost always torn up at Carmenio Phil and then get on a fast surface and then try to play teams that play on a fast surface all year.
Exactly. Now they're used to that kind of speed, and Prep does have some speed. We're going to see Jalen Carson and Luke Sittinger, these guys.
And Jaheim Howard was back last week.
Yeah,
that was 100 yards.
That was huge for them to get him back last week because now you can get Luke Sittinger back on defense. He's not going to carry the ball every single time. Yeah. So that really opens up a lot of possibilities for Prep.
Definitely. Are you giving your calls on this one?
I can. I think Prep's going to win by at least a couple touchdowns. I just think they're just so talented. They're on a roll right now. Nothing against LaBeouf. They were the toughest team to play Prep last year in the playoffs, but I just think Prep's got too much.
And one thing about Prep too is it's going to be interesting in that they have a young quarterback in terms of experience with Tamar Sample. And how is he going to do in that type of playoff atmosphere? But he looks like he is really, settled in very well as a starter.
Yeah, he's done a great job ever since they called up upon him. The offense looked really good with him at quarterback. So I think, that move is a pretty good one. And really it's an advantage for Prep because if anything happens, you have an experienced quarterback behind him, Colin Johnson.
And I've just got to say that when you look at Sample, I just see so much of Damian Terry in him, in that he's a taller kid, not as tall as Damian Terry was, because Damian was like 6'3", 6'4", but sort of slimmer. But he has that same type of smooth throwing motion, and he sort of glides when he runs too. And it just reminds me a lot of one of Prep's all-time greats.
Yeah, and he's done a great job leadership-wise and poise. He entered into a 7-6 game on the road against a team that gives Prep fits and wins that game for him. Well, helps them win it. And then he's done a great job the last couple of weeks as well. So he really has the poise of a guy who has not played all year.
And again, a lot to do before we make comparisons between their careers or anything like that. But anyway, so there's another title game on Friday night.
Yeah, Oil City and Meadville. I kind of forgot how close this game was last time. I think 34-33.
Yes.
And this could be a great game down in Franklin. Obviously it's a little closer to Oil City, but they won the region, so they deserve to have a closer playoff game. And it's really 2 rushing attacks have been really good this year. Hayden Parks last week I thought was really impressive against Warren. They couldn't stop him. Took the ACT in the morning, and they got to the game right before it came
Tom, what kind of runner is Hayden Parks?
He's more like a power, dare you to kind of tackle me kind of runner. He gets around the edge a little bit, but teams just really have a hard time taking him down. And same with Arian Cotterman from Greenville. Both are really powerful backs with a lot of speed.
And we talked a little bit about Fort LaBeouf having 3 running backs. Meadville obviously has three runners at least. With you throw in Chandler Edwards in there.
Chandler Edwards and Beck,
yeah.
and quarterback, who's done a great job. So it's going to be, this could be one of those really fast games because I don't think either team really can throw the ball too much.
You can quicken it up.
And Noah Petro obviously is having a huge year. In AJ Russell, Cam Russell, and Braden Crocker as well is having a good year for Oil City. So he's got kind of the battle of three-man run sheet attacks on both teams.
Tom, who are you picking in this one?
I think Oil City in a close one, made by a touchdown.
Okay. So there are also 2 games on Friday night that are not finals, and we're looking at 1A.
Yeah, in 1A semifinals, you got Farrell, West Middlesex. Nice rematch. Farrell kind of tuned him up a little bit last time, so I think Farrell's going to roll in that one. Even though West Middlesex has done a great job this year turning things around from last year.
And really improved near the end of the year.
Exactly. They did a great job this
year. Once they got a little bit healthy.
Yeah, Mark Means is definitely the right guy for the job down there. He's done a great job for them. And then the other one is kind of the game I think that everyone's looking forward to this weekend, which is Maplewood Reynolds. I think it's the 4th time they're going to play in the last 20 games for Maplewood. Wow. And obviously last year was highly anticipated. J.D. McFadden from Maplewood, all-time passer in school history, got hurt right away. Reynolds, I think, won 36-0 because of that. And then there were some extracurricular, tackles out of bounds, some kids ejected. So it's kind of a blossoming rivalry with these two.
Isn't it similar to last year in that Maplewood won the first game, won the regular season game against Reynolds, and then Reynolds came back and did it. So Maplewood obviously is undefeated, so they won the first game this year between the two.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Maplewood reacts under this type, especially when they didn't play last week and they had a bye and waiting for Reynolds.
Yeah, and I think they kind of knew it was going to be Reynolds, so they kind of game planned the whole week for them. And interesting thing too is, Maplewood beat them at home, which is on grass. Now we're going to go to a turf field, and I think Maplewood may have a little more speed, so that may be an advantage for them. But it could be a great game.
And who do you like?
I'm going to take Maplewood in this one. They've been kind of building towards that big playoff win over the last couple of years, and I think this is the year they do it. Can they beat Farrell? I don't think so, but this is a huge win for them.
Yeah, and credit to Maplewood. They've really put it together all season long, and it'd be interesting to see them get the shot at Farrell, who has shut out 7 consecutive and then had a bye.
Exactly.
Yeah, so. Well, I guess the forfeit, that's 8 shutouts in a row because they took a forfeit from Cambridge Springs last week. Turn our attention to Saturday. Saturday is interesting because we actually get the start of AAA.
Yeah, it's been a while, and it's going to be interesting to see these 2 games, I think, with Harbor Creek against Slippery Rock at the Veterans Stadium and Grove City Merchants Prep. I think those are probably the 2 most competitive games on Saturday. Harbor Creek, they've been so good on defense this year, undefeated. Slippery Rock is a similar team. I think Harbor Creek throws the ball a little more, but they both are kind of like a tough it out kind of team and play defense. So I think Harbor Creek, this is the year they knock off Slippery Rock, but it's going to be a very close game. It should be a classic.
Gotcha. One thing that we always talk about is that dominance of the Southern schools in AAA, which was the former AA.
Yeah. And
are we looking at that again this year?
I think so. I mean, I think Harbor Creek can knock off Slippery Rock. I just don't think they can go beat Hickory and Sharon, which is what they have to do to win D-10. And, look at AA with Greenville and Northwestern. I think Northwestern can compete with Greenville. It was a good game last time. It was 21-0, but all 21 points for Greenville came in the second quarter, and the Northwestern coach, Mark Brooks, is telling me that they were competitive in that game. It's just that one quarter got away from them. But obviously you're running into a buzzsaw if you win that game with Wilmington next week, so I think that's already out. But AAA, it's just so hard for one of these northern teams has to probably win against the 3 best teams in Mercer County in 3A to win D10, so I just don't think it can happen.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Interesting thing about the scheduling is you mentioned last week we would have had a regular season finale for a number of teams. We would have had a bye, quarterfinals, semifinals, and a final. And the interesting thing to me is had the McDowell-Erie High game not been postponed last week, we would have had a final last week, and then the AAA quarterfinals starting, like the playoffs starting the week after that. It's so bizarre how it's set up.
And if Alderdice doesn't opt out, this week we would have had regular season with Kind, Ohio, quarterfinals, semifinals, championship, and state playoffs all in the same week. That's just how nuts 6 classes.
And Tom, what do you blame that on?
6 classes, as always.
As Tom blames everything on 6 classes.
Huge failure, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, any other players or anything in particular you're looking at this week? Tell people, especially Erie County Erie County teams that are going out and playing Southern teams, players to watch for maybe from the South?
Yeah, you look at Grove City Merchants Prep is going to be a great game. Obviously, Steve Smith is the big star for Merchants Prep. We got Logan Breeze at quarterback, Colby Nelson for Grove City. They got all kinds of different weapons throughout that. At wide receiver, Dave Gonsay and Reddick and all these different guys. So that's going to be a great game.
Did you say who you like in there?
I'm going to take Grove City in a close one. I just don't know if Merchants Prep has enough to counter Grove City. I think Grove City proved a lot in Week 9 when they beat Meadville.
Yeah.
That was a big win for them. The other two games in AAA is going to be tough for the northern teams with Hickory and Sharon taking on – Hickory's taking on Northeast, Sharon taking on Girard. Hickory, obviously, Michael Henwood has been great this year, Hunter Stewart.
And late in the year for Hickory, a real threat has emerged in the receiving corps. Marion Whitehead.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job, and getting Rocco Iacino back has been great for them on both sides of the ball. And obviously sharing with Lane Wojtek, he's I think over 7,000 yards now passing. He's just done a great job for them, and really come on strong these last couple of weeks.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the 1AA game. Again, an odd setup in that Northwestern played in the lone quarterfinal last week, and now they're playing in the lone semifinal this week. So rather than having two semifinals, as we mentioned. This is a rematch of the season opener.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, 2018, Northwestern won that season opener. This year, a good game. Greenville scored all 21 in the second quarter and won 21-0.
Yeah, and they've obviously had some injury problems with Blair Paxton being out for the season, but John King's really stepped up, and Isaac Sala was great the last couple of weeks. He almost brought them back into that Merchants Prep game. It was interesting for Greenville to lose the Merchants Prep that final week of the season, but that was a nice tune-up for them to get ready for the playoffs. And Northwestern on Saturday playing in a driving rainstorm and hanging on against Lakeview. Their special teams were great. They blocked a punt for a touchdown. Another punt that got blocked by his own lineman. Northwestern jumped on that, returned to the 17, and got the running game going. So, Northwestern has been through these tough, grinded-out games, and they have a chance in this game.
And an interesting thing with Northwestern is you got to give Mark Brooks a lot of credit from the last 2 years, where they really haven't been particularly strong in any phase of the game, but they seem to be sort of strong across the board, pretty, and that makes for a nice, 7-3 season.
Yeah, you look at maybe their biggest strength is their line.
Yeah.
He's really done a great job building up that line. Alex Rimmel is just a stud down there for them, and they have a couple guys who really have kind of opened up that running attack. And like you said, there hasn't been really one running back or one quarterback. They played two quarterbacks basically to really step up and be that star. So they've done it's kind of a team effort for Northwestern.
Sounds great. If you want to catch up on all of the playoff action this weekend, make sure to follow Tom on Twitter, but also make sure to watch us on Varsity Prime. We'll be updating the scores. And also make sure to follow the coverage in the Times News and on GoArea.com on Saturday morning. And then again on Sunday, we'll be offering full coverage of all the games. So we look forward to it. And thanks again for joining us for Kickoff Talk.